members, please state your name and whether you're a member or an alternate member.
Tina Donica, alternate.
Joshua, member.
Kathy Harris, member. So we have a quorum. So the next item on our agenda is approval of the minutes. We don't have any minutes, so never mind that. Okay. Okay, so now we'll do the appeals that are scheduled for today. So when your appeal is announced, please approach the commission and state your name and address. And then you'll have 10 minutes to explain why you believe the decision of the Animal Control Agency should be reversed. Then the Animal Control Agency will have 10 minutes to explain their decision. At that point, we will open the matter up for public hearing. Each member of the public will have 3 minutes to speak. First, we'll invite those who wish to speak in favor of the petitioner, and second, those who would like to speak in opposition. If you come up to speak, you need to state your name and address for the record. And then after the hearing is finished, the petitioner will have 5 more minutes to rebut or bring up any other issues. The commission members may ask questions at any time. So will the Animal Control Agency please read the first appeal?
Appellant Jonah and Leah Twitty of 18397 Chaucer Lane, South Bend, Indiana, 46637, appealed to obtain a county chicken permit with less than 0.5 acres. I'm not gonna go over that one. Thank you, guys.
State your name and address and then go ahead.
Yeah, Jonah Twitty is my wife Leah, 18397 Chaucer Lane, South Bend, Indiana, 46637. We have 0.47 acres, so it's not quite enough. And we're hoping to get the 6 chickens that we're able to have if we can get approved, just as a way to have some farm fresh eggs. We have some kids, love to teach them just responsibility and take care of some animals together, learn some things together. So yeah, that's why we're here today. See if we can get that approval.
Okay. Jenny?
We have no objections to that. They've had no complaints, no issues.
I make a motion for approval.
Second? Say aye.
Aye.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
So I'll get in contact with you guys tomorrow about the next step.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
I like.
Okay, if you want. Thanks, guys.
Good luck, guys.
All right, Jenny.
All right, our next appellant is Brandy Fletcher of 20104 Layden Street, South Bend, Indiana, 46637, appealed to obtain a county chicken permit with less than 0.5 acres.
Hello.
Hi there.
So I'm Ethan Fletcher, Brandy's husband. Is that okay?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. I'm at 20104 Layden Street in South Bend, Indiana, 46337. And I am hoping to get some chickens still, even though I only have 0.27 acres of land. I definitely appreciate what you folks do and understand why the ordinance is there. And in a lot of cases, if the neighborhood was set up to have a place with the amount of land as mine has, and all of the neighbors were on top of each other, I would definitely agree and would consider it somewhat of a nuisance. So I'm sure some of the issues that kind of go into being on a smaller plot would be causing a nuisance to the neighborhood, upkeep and cleanliness, and just kind of the aesthetics, whether or not the chickens can have a good quality of life. And so in my case, my neighbor that is to the east of us actually does not live there, just owns the land and keeps all of his possessions there and doesn't plan to sell anytime soon. And then the one to the west of us, they actually had chickens when we first moved there, and they don't anymore. So they don't mind. And then I have nobody living on the 4 plots of land behind us, so I don't have to worry about causing a problem there. Now, we have a small garden, so we hope to be able to use this as a way to help fertilize and compost, which will help control any type of mess and smell. And it's important to us because we like to have our area clean and definitely don't want to cause a nuisance for ourselves either. So we're also going to be purchasing like a prefabricated chicken coop as opposed to building our own, because we and it's a premium one. It's not purchased off of Temu or Amazon because we want to make sure that the animals are safe. We have a coyote population in St. Pat's Park near us, so we're going to do some extra securing to make sure that they're not bothering them. So we're making sure that they'll be safe, that they'll have a good place to live. And we don't actually want to have 6 chickens on the land. That we think would be too many. We're hoping to have 3 or 4 and use this as a way to supplement our shopping, help our daughter learn agriculture and responsibility, and just have a good experience for our family with it as well. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
We have no objections, no complaints.
I make a motion to accept.
Second. Aye. All in favor?
Aye. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Okay, appellant Ruth I'm sorry, I'm gonna say your last name wrong, Ruth, Zielinski?
Kaylee.
Sakali of 16187 Oak Hill Boulevard, Granger, Indiana, 46530. Appeal of the dangerous animal designation for a dog named Shiana.
Correct. Okay, so my name is Ruth Sakali and I live at 16187 Oak Hill Boulevard in Granger. Good afternoon. Thank you for hearing my appeal. And in front of you, in whatever form, you have a packet about Shiana. I have 7 letters and twice as many pictures, and I declined at least twice as many more people who wanted to write or send pictures on her behalf. I think a picture is worth 1,000 words, and the items that were submitted were some from total strangers, and some from people who had known her for most of her 10 years. The common themes in the letters were really threefold. First of all, she has been socialized to people and animals her whole life. Secondly, there's never been any observable signs of aggression from Shiana. And third, she is a gentle giant who has a signature nudge. From the time she was a puppy on the farm, she wanted to paw people to greet them when they came to visit the alpacas. And that was forbidden because we knew that she was going to have a big paw someday. And so I would always say, no paw, Shiana, no paw. And so she doesn't use her paw to communicate with people. She uses her big nose and she nudges and says, pat me, please pat me. So that's pretty much what she is known for, because she's a very social, loving animal. So what went wrong? 4 years ago, I developed severe arthritis in my hands. And a year and a half ago, I had hand reconstructive surgery. After a year of healing, I thought that I would like to try to walk Shiana. So I started walking her on a farm in Dowagiac, and my friend who owns the farm is here with me. And so I walked her on a leash on the farm and no problems there. And eventually reached the point that I wanted to try walking her in our neighborhood where she had walked for 5 years. The only problem is that Shiana is very, very social. And when she sees another animal, she starts crying immediately and saying, I want to play, I want to play, I want to greet this animal. And so she goes most of the time it's welcomed, but obviously small dogs are not sure about a big dog that they want to be friends. So I started walking her at night because there aren't as many walkers. And I would go out with my fluorescent clothing and my flashlight and my poop bag and my dog on a chain, and we would walk. If we encountered other people on those rare occasions, usually one or the other or both of us would go different directions to avoid a confrontation. On the night of November 5th, despite my warning, Mr. Obenauer walked towards me after I said, please don't let my dog see you. And when he was about 12 feet away, I couldn't hold her anymore and I just dropped the leash. And she ran over to the dog that was being walked, and the dog that was being walked by his owner ran around the owner and wrapped him up in her chain, and Shiana ran around the owner. And so both of them had their chains around the owner and he fell to the ground. I separated the dogs and took Shiana to sit in the grass. When I looked up, the man was gone. And he had fallen on the pavement, and I suspect that maybe he fell on some pebbles because there was no mention of a bite. There was no mention of anything that occurred. I felt really, really awful. It was not safe for me to be taking Shiana out alone. This was not an act of aggression on her part. She wanted to play with another dog, and I wasn't able to manage her. Mr. Obenauer and I were the only two present during the event and the only two who know what really happened. Now what? I have been in physical therapy since November for my hips, knees, and balance. My hands are in great shape. I continue to make gains. I will not be walking Shiana alone, except on the farm and at the vet. At the conclusion of this hearing, I plan to have her start walking again with others who she used to walk. I would walk with friends and they would hold the leash. She and I most likely will hire a professional dog walker for some more consistency. She deserves to return to her regular dog walks, and this was a very, very unfortunate event. And I regret that you all couldn't meet her because she is such a lover. And I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Do you have questions for her? Any?
We have no previous history for either the appellant or the dog in question. The only thing I would bring up, because I'm not sure if Mr. Obenauer is here, but in the packet, there is a summary provided to a registered nurse who saw Mr. Obenauer for his injury. And so I'm just going to kind of reread that statement. It says, patient states he was out walking his service dog in their neighborhood when he saw a woman from the neighborhood walking her dog. She lost control of her dog and it came running across the street after them. The dog's leash got wrapped around his legs, causing him to fall, and the dog bit him on the left knee and his left elbow. He managed to get up and push the dog away with his cane, made sure the woman had grabbed the dog's leash, then just got out of there as quick as he could and went home. And it skips down. It says patient tolerated exam well, left knee is painful and swollen with puncture wounds and torn skin noted, no broken skin or injury to left elbow noted. And then see forensic chart. And they're the ones who completed the animal bite report that was sent to our office.
Okay, thank you. Is James here?
I will say, and I wasn't.
All right, but anyone wishing to speak
Oh,
in favor of the petition?
You can talk again at the end.
okay.
Anyone else? Come up. State your name and address. You have 3 minutes.
Marcel, do you want them to come over here?
It doesn't, I mean, she's with her, so.
Hello, I'm Patricia Yoder, Yoder. I live in Dowagiac. I have a grooming salon, Soft Touch Pet Care. I've had it for 14 years. Shiana has been a customer for 10. She is in relationship with other dogs there in a fenced-in area. I've not had any problems with that. She has been around other people coming and going to pick up and drop off their dogs. I have not had any issues that way. This is very uncharacteristic of her to have any issues with someone or somebody or some animal. I even have a parrot that periodically will come in the grooming hut on a perch on the window and will talk to the dogs because it's a African gray, so it talks. And Shanna's never been even aggressive to the dog or any of the cats or anything like that. So that's the best I can tell you is that there's not been an issue at all.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone wishing to speak against the
I guess
petition?
James is not here.
I've never seen him in
Thank
person.
goodness.
James, are you here?
Okay,
All right,
you guys have any questions?
I say probation for a year.
Yeah.
Want to make a
She
motion?
had a,
Okay, so we're gonna make a motion that she be on probation for a year.
second.
All in favor?
Oh, wait, hold on. Did
you
she
wanna
get
say-
another? You're fine.
I did not know who James was before November 5th. We live 2 or 3 blocks away from each other. In the neighborhood where lots of seniors, sometimes word travels fast. And I very quickly learned from a dozen or more people that he has Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and what's the other thing? Oh, dementia, which I'm not opposed to any of that. My husband had dementia for 7 years. I just question some of what his perception was about what happened and,
He definitely has a bite wound.
pardon?
He
Yeah, well,
definitely had bite.
I
wounds.
just, I don't, my RN friends have looked at it and said, those could be puncture wounds from falling on a rock. I mean, his skin was fragile. And there was a point when we were separating the animals that he took his cane and was poking at Shiana when, but there was no communication whatsoever about being hurt, about a bite. I apologize profusely about, that I'm sorry that it happened, but.
Well,
anyway.
it sounds like you've taken a lot of steps that you're gonna try to prevent it from happening again. So that's what we kind of look for when we
Okay.
listen to the hearings. So we appreciate that. So we're gonna put her on probation for a year. As long as
Okay.
she doesn't do anything, bite anyone, she's good.
Oh, I don't think she'll be, pardon?
What does probation?
What does that mean?
Jenny will further it. tell you.
Okay.
She'll get you information in the
Yep,
mail you
so-
drew after the meeting.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I'll get in touch with you tomorrow, but in summary, it just means that you do not need to obtain the dangerous animal permit. And she's not going to have that designation as long as nothing happens within the next year. But I'll have a formal letter for you tomorrow. All right, thank you. You're good to go.
Did we all in favor? Or
Yeah,
just
we
you?
did.
Okay, just making sure.
Thank you for the work you do.
you're welcome.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Bonnie Wagner. 161001. Marlowe Way, Granger. Please state your name and address. You have 10 minutes.
My name is Brian Wagner, 16101 Marlow Way, Granger, Indiana, 46530, and my wife Bonnie. So we're here to talk about Rocky. Rocky was born, I guess, September 22nd. We adopted him from the St. Joe Humane Society in August of 23. He's our third beagle. He's a beagle mix. Unfortunately, on September 8th, Bonnie was out in front, We had just had some landscaping done, some significant landscaping in the front yard. To include removing of bushes and shrubbery in the front. They replaced a lot of that with large rock. And unfortunately, the people who did the work removed, and when he was in the front yard, he was always with people. He was never alone, but we had a dog tie-out stake. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's the thing that screws into the ground there, excuse me. When they replaced that, they obviously did not do a very good job of replacing it. Bonnie was out front, doing some work on the front, in the front yard with Rocky, who was attached to that, tie-off stake. The neighbor was beginning to jog, and Rocky went to bark at her, and that tie-out stake came right out of the ground. And then he proceeded to go into the street and ultimately snapped at her, and she had two puncture wounds. He had no previous history. He's been a very, very good dog. And I'd like to refer you to the pack of information, if I may. There's some pictures in there of Rocky. I'd like to draw your attention to the lower left-hand side. And that's from the Ring doorbell that we had on the day of the event. And you can see that Bonnie is there. You can see that Rocky is there. He's tied up to that tie-out stake. Additionally, we've always kept him with a choke collar and a harness. So if you look at the top right side, you can kind of see how that works. So we've attached a secondary hook. So he's basically attached twice. So if he would try to get out of something, we've got a backup there. You can see just some other pictures of him. So that's basically what happened. We offered to take the neighbor to seek medical treatment. She asked that her husband do that instead. We offered to pay for any expenses. So that's really the summary of the event. We do have in the package included 3 pictures, because like I said, this is very uncharacteristic of the dog's behavior. So we do have 3 letters of from people that know him fairly well. The first one is from a lady who operates a kennel, and we take him to doggy daycare when we go visit her son in Michigan. And she's sent a letter indicating that she's never seen any kind of behavior like that, as she's handled him and dealt with him in the course of time that he spent with her. There's also a letter in there from Bonnie's sister, who's actively involved with canine. She's got service dogs and had service dogs for quite a number of years. And she spends a lot of time with him. And she also had no indication that anything like that was in his future. And lastly, from our son, John, who also provides a lot of care with him. He lives with us, and he spends a lot of time walking him and so on, and just kind of his reflection on the dog. So that's just kind of some people who provided some evidence on his character. I'm trying to find here real quick. We do have some countermeasures that we've already implemented. We have 8 of them. I'd like to share those with you. First one is and we've implemented them, and as a result of this, we never leave him outside alone. Even if he's tied up or secured, he's always with somebody out there. We never tie him up in the front yard with a lead, and we only pass through that area while on a leash and with a handler. So if we're taking him for a walk, for instance. So he's kind of in the backyard with his people, and he's never in the backyard by himself either. As I indicated, he wears a collar and a harness at all times when outside. Then we have 2 snap hooks to kind of prevent him from getting away. He was an escape artist as a baby. He's 2.5 years old, 3 years. So we've kind of prevented that. We've got a secured lead in the backyard that we double up. So that would prevent him from escaping that lead. It's just between a tree and a 4x4. And it's double up in there. So in case we have an issue with one of them breaking or whatever, then the other one is secured. We do periodic inspections of all the restraining equipment. We limit the possibility of contacts when we take him out. He likes to go to the parks in Milton Township and Harris. And we do that in off-peak hours just to prevent him from being around people and dogs and children. We continue to train in positive reinforcement. And we keep him on a leash inside the house whenever anybody's at the front door to prevent him from escaping outside. So we feel that these countermeasures have been fairly effective to prevent any kind of reoccurrence. And really, those are the things that we've been doing. And we thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. You guys have any questions? Any?
There's been no other history. He was adopted from our agency, so I was looking over his behavior assessment. We had no red flags for this pet. When he was surrendered to us, there was no known bite history prior to him coming to the shelter either. So that's pretty much all I have in what was in the packet.
Is there anyone that wants to speak in favor? Anyone that,
say anything?
at the end you can again. Anyone that wants to speak in opposition?
She's not here.
Is Amy here?
Amy?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you have 3 minutes if you want to add anything.
Yeah, do you want to add anything else?
I don't,
He's an active dog, but that was one right after we had him for a little while.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you guys are taking it seriously to me and you're making changes so that it
Mhm.
doesn't happen again. So usually we'll put them on probation for a year then. So
I make a motion to put on probation for 1 year.
second it, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Great.
So as long as he's a good boy, he'll be good.
okay, thank you very much.
Jenny
Thank
will
you.
explain
Good luck.
that to you.
Yeah, I'll get a hold of you guys tomorrow.
Perfect, thank you.
James Adders, 59210 Edna Road, Mishawaka. Please state your name and address. You have 10 minutes.
Good afternoon. My name is James Zaders. I live at 59210 Edna Road, Mishawaka, Indiana, 46544. My first question would be with animal control and their policies. I want to know if it's policy for them to make contact with the person that is being accused to get their side. I'm a retired South Bend police officer, so I'm glad I see a county officer up here, which is great because in our job, we had to get both sides of the story before we file a report. So in this case, every instance that animal control was called out, I received a note on the door. I'm retired, I'm at home all day. I'll sit there, not see a note, and then I happen to go out to check the mail, and then all of a sudden there's a note. I think a lot of this could have been eliminated if animal control were to contact the owner of the animal that's being accused. I'm not saying my dogs are innocent by far, but if an animal control officer were to talk to me, they would have been able to see all the steps that I was taking. My dogs got loose, they started jumping the fence. I got a note on the door. I went out and I did everything possible to prevent that area of the fence from my dogs jumping over. So the next time they jumped over again, I bought shock collars for them, thinking that will help control them. They got out again. Now I put up an electric fence. The electric fence seemed to work and work well, but we evidently had a mole problem in our yard. And on the date that this happened, I assumed that the electric fence was working, everything was good. And then they happened to see the dogs across the street. And that's when I noticed that the fence wasn't working. So on that same day, I wasn't gonna try and trace all that wire. I have an acre of land. So I wasn't trying to trace all that wire, trying to find the break. So what I did, I ordered all new wire. So when the weather was to warm up, I'm gonna go out there and lay all brand new wire down because I'm not gonna take the time to find the break in the wire if that was the case. But the electric fence was working at the time. The other situation is the neighbor, one of the neighbors, his two daughters live on the street. The complaints are coming from the next door neighbor and the two daughters live on the street. I haven't had the best relationship with that neighbor. We went and set up a shed in our front yard. He came out with a tape measure to make sure that we was 8 feet away from his property. And this is the type of stuff that I've been dealing with. I've been trying to work with him. He's come over as a neighbor a couple times about my dogs, which was great. So I thought we had that neighborly bond where we could go to each other. And then all of a sudden it just went downhill. So my only thing is I wish an animal control officer would have talked to me each of these times and also see the progression of the stages that I took to prevent all this from happening. You guys might have paperwork up there that just sees, I got 2 dogs that just got loose and attacked another dog, and then not know that from the times that they were seen running loose, I did everything possible to prevent them from jumping the fence. Then I went to shock collars, and then I went to an electric fence. The electric fence seems to work. It just so happened there's a break somewhere that I don't know where it is. And that is why I bought all brand new wire to lay all brand new wire again.
Did you have a regular fence and an electric fence?
Yes, I have a regular fence that is only covering maybe not even half our yard that's fenced in. And then the rest of the acre of land is behind that leads into the woods.
So when they got out, they weren't just in the fence, they were in the fence.
No.
Invisible fence.
When I go home, what I used to do, and this is another situation that I eliminated. When I went home, I'd open the garage door, let them out the garage door, and then we walk around the back where I let them run the whole acre. So when this situation happened, I quit letting them out the garage door. I would go inside, go out the back door. The previous owner sealed the back fence that led into the backyard shut. So I finally got that loose. I finally was able to break that free. So now, instead of letting them around the house where they have access to see what's happening up front, I let them out the back door, out the back fence. I let them run around. Then I bring them in that same fence and back in the back door. So now they don't even run around to the front. If someone were to be walking their dog, they don't see that anymore. So that was the last step in the process after this happened that I said is probably what I needed to do.
How tall is your fence?
It's a 4-foot fence. They don't jump it anymore. I solved that problem. I was able to, and it's only one area of the fence, which amazes me because they know they can jump the fence, but they only jump one section. And now that I put a barrier up there, they don't jump the fence anymore.
So there's like your house and then the fence and then the rest of the yard.
Yes,
So is the whole invisible fence around the fence too?
yes.
Okay.
It's around the whole yard.
Okay.
And then it goes part way into the front yard because I want that just in case.
Now, did you put that in yourself?
Yes.
Cause I have an invisible fence too. And it seems like if moles bite it or lightning strikes it, it goes out periodically. So.
And that's what I'm figuring out.
Yeah, but
Yes.
there is some kind of a instrument you can buy that you can just go around and you can find where the break is. and feel
Okay.
really little bit.
But, and that's where I didn't want to deal with all that. Because I know when you start patching the electric fence, then you got to make sure it's waterproof or it's not going to work. So that's why I just went out that day and I ordered enough wire to cover my acre of land so I could relay all brand new wire. And then what I said I was going to do this time until I can figure, because I don't have enough money to pay for PVC for an acre of land to make sure that wire's protected. So what I was thinking about doing is putting it above ground, maybe on some stakes, very low to the ground where the dogs won't be able to break it. That way I can keep an eye on it. And if there was a break, I'd be able to repair it right then instead of having to dig up an acre of yard trying to find the break.
You guys have any questions?
So have you fixed the fence since this? This was.
Not yet because of the weather. I do have the wire. And once the weather breaks, I plan to get that all rewired. But since the incident happened, there's nothing else that's happened. Because of the situation of me taking them out back, taking them through the back fence into the yard and then back in the same way.
Is there anyone that wants to speak in favor?
Oh, do I get a chance?
Oh, sorry. Jenny. Yes, Jenny, go ahead.
Okay. To answer your question, Mr. Aders, about the Humane Society or the animal control officer contacting you, at every point of contact where an animal welfare alert was left for you, it says in bold lettering that it's because that's our notice to you that we've gotten a complaint that you need to contact us. And that would be the point that we would discuss any kind of like improvements that you're making to keep your pets confined to your property. But specifically, this case is just talking about the incident that happened on November 26th of your pets getting loose off the property and attacking another animal. And that is well documented in here, but it is also documented that your animals have been running loose habitually since 2019. We've had complaints about not just these particular dogs, because I do think that some of your dogs have changed since then. But in 2022, we've had complaints. In 2024, we've had complaints at your current address. And then we had complaints in 2019 and 2021 of your dogs running loose at a different address as well. So our main concern is that this problem has been happening for a long time. And the dogs have finally attacked an animal that lives within the neighborhood. And that's a very serious incident, especially for two larger dogs. But I do want to also remind the Animal Control Commission that if an animal is deemed dangerous in the county, you can only own one dangerous animal on a property.
Thanks, Jenny.
So I have a question for Jenny.
Yes.
Reading this, was the owner walking the dog, the other owner?
So the statement that the owner of the victim dog, hold on one second. She said that she was on the road in front of the dog's house that bit. So two German Shepherds ran from their front of house into the street to start attacking my dog Lucy. She defended herself as best she could. The owner, James, was yelling for the dogs to stop. The attack lasted about 7 or so minutes until the other dogs ran back to him. My husband and I did write them a letter and dropped it off before taking Lucy to the Night Owls Emergency Vet Clinic because their vet clinic couldn't get them in.
Okay.
So it's my understanding she was walking Lucy.
Yeah, it said on the road in front of the dog's house.
Can I say the incident didn't take 7 minutes? Because it says I was in the front yard with them.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Is there anyone else who wants to speak in favor of the petition? Anyone against? Let's go to the podium, state your name and address. You have 3 minutes each. So if you talk together, it's 3. If you talk individually, it's 6.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Maynard, 59151 Edna Road. I'm the owner of the dog who got bit. Yes, my parents live right next door to the defendant here, and I walk my dog multiple times a day to see my parents and on a leash, always on a leash. And walking past their house, I'm always a good amount away from the yard because I do know that they have the fenced underneath the ground fence. I've had one of those. years in the past for a lab and it never worked for my dog. So it does make me nervous if that's what they may rely on for them to not come through the front yard. Because, I mean, my lab years ago, I have a lab pit now. That's the one that got bit. It's not the same dog I'm talking about. But when I lived in Granger, she would break through the fence when she saw anything. She didn't want to come back through it, but she would go through the electric fence always. So I have, I don't believe in the electric fences that they work. For me anyway. Yeah, I haven't walked my dog very much. I just, normally I'm walking her, probably maybe an hour down the road back and forth. I've had back surgery, so I need exercise, and that's my form of exercise. And I take my dog with me. And I haven't walked her that much, maybe once down during the day and then back. I just been a little nervous about them. I will say that since the incident, they haven't come out of the backyard, but I'm only going down once a day now too, instead of multiple times, and sometimes an hour back and forth, to try and do what I need to do for my physical therapy. So that's what I have for that. And then my sister wants to speak too.
Hi, I'm Deb Gantz, and I live at 59129 Edna Road. I have sent many emails to your office complaining of these dogs because I've had many experiences with them. So I'm going to read one of the emails. My parents live right next door, so this has nothing to do with the relationship that he has with my parents. My dad has taken the dogs back to him several times, but I've personally have had the dogs come and charge at us when I'm in my parents' front yard. My grandkids, who are 2 and 3 years old, have been on my parents' swing, and the dogs have come out into my parents' yard and not biting my grandchildren, but coming charging at them, barking. So anyway, while sitting on my parents' back porch, the dogs have several times charged us, barking like crazy and coming up on their porch. I walk my 2 greyhounds on a leash every day, and on occasions had the German Shepherds come out of their front yard, which does not have a fence. Maybe it's the invisible fence. The backyard has a fence. Barking and charging at my dogs. Several times I've walked my 2 grandchildren down to see my parents, and I was scared to death that they were going to attack my grandkids or my dogs. I walk my dogs on a leash anytime they're not in the backyard in a fence. I can't even walk down the street anymore for fear that the dogs are going to come after me, my grandkids. I can't have that happen. And then since have bit my sister's dog. And my dogs were there also, but my one dog is very shy, so he was timid and walked away. It was over $300 for my sister to get her dog taken care of. I don't want to have to worry about walking my grandchildren or my dogs down the street. That should not be a problem that we have to worry about. And I know another neighbor has also sent you emails about their dog getting nipped at. So I hope you take this seriously before someone actually really does get hurt. Thank you.
Anyone else? You have 5 minutes.
Number one, I did offer to pay the vet bill. Her husband contacted me. I contacted him, said I'll pay the vet bill. He declined it. These other instances I'm not aware of. I have 5 grandchildren myself that come over. It's just other animals that they seem to be aggressive towards. They're not aggressive towards kids, adults. Like I said, one of my granddaughters just spent the week with me perfectly fine around the dogs. And I can completely understand the electric fence because like I said, I had an electric fence. I thought it was working. It wasn't that day. But then I've looked into the wireless ones that float with the internet, but then those are like $1,000, and if the electricity goes out, power goes out, internet goes out, then I'm in the same boat I'm in now.
Okay, thank you.
Right. All right, so what we're deciding is, we're making a motion to put both the dogs on probation for a year. But, you're gonna have to, where your fence, your 4-foot fence is, you're gonna have to put up a real fence, like a big fence, tall fence.
How
And
tall?
then, well,
6 foot.
I don't know what height fences are, but 4 foot is not high enough.
So the next height up is usually the 6 foot privacy fence.
So like a 6-foot fence. And then when the dogs aren't in that fenced in area, if they're out anywhere else, you're gonna have to have them on a leash.
Then what I could do is just extend, if I got to put up a brand new fence, which we were thinking about doing anyways, I'll just extend the fence out a little bit farther so they have more land to run on.
Okay, and then after the fence is up, which
How tall is that?
a month? 6 foot. Gonna be 6 foot.
Being it's spring, I'm assuming you're gonna have somebody build this, or you're gonna build it yourself?
I can't afford to pay anybody, so I'd do it myself.
So, and then after the fence is up, the Humane Society will come out and look at it.
How
Question.
long does he have to build the fence?
Yes.
2 questions. How long does he have to build a fence? And the second question is just to clarify, before the fence is built, the dogs will have to be on a manned leash, right?
Yes.
Leash
Yes,
to
yeah.
a person.
Yes.
And after the fence is built, if they're not in the fence, they have to be on a manned leash.
Well, I think if the fence is built and I build it bigger, then I won't have to worry about letting them run
Okay,
in the back.
How long?
so I would say a month.
That's what I'm wondering with
I don't know.
spring
I don't
showers
think
coming
about
in and
that.
everything.
What do you think?
Probably 2 months.
2 months.
Yeah,
2
fence
months.
up 2 months?
I think so, yeah. And then you're saying notify animal control once it's done for them to come out and take a look.
I'll send you a letter tomorrow with their
Second.
decision to outline those things for you.
Okay.
All right, so you want to read us that back, Jenny,
Yes.
please?
I'm sorry.
Do you want to read us back what?
So probation for 1 year for both dogs. While the dogs are outside of a 6-foot privacy fence, they have to be on a man leash. And a 6-foot privacy fence does need to be constructed within 2 months and inspected by the Humane Society as escape proof.
Ted and Joan Bardis, 14307 Fox Chase Court.
Thank you.
Artist.
You have 10 minutes. Please state your name and address.
Hello, my name is Joan Bardis. My address is 14307 Fox Chase Court, Granger, Indiana. And
I'm Ted Bardis, Joan's husband. I live at 14307 Fox Chase Court, Granger as well.
okay, we are the owners of a 4-year-old yellow lab named Cassius. He is a house dog. He sleeps in our bed. He sleeps anywhere he wants to in the house. So he's never outside just to roam, or we don't have an electric fence. We personally take him out to go to the bathroom on a leash. In the mornings, I get up, he feed him at 7. I walk him in the yard, and then I come home at lunch, and then Ted is home first, walks him out. So the only time he's even on a tether, not leashed, is on a weekend when we're all home and we have a tether in the front yard. So animals have come and interacted with him, and we have a neighbor dog right next door that they played with since they were a puppy. Another neighbor dog in the cul-de-sac has another dog, Sadie, who we call his girlfriend. They play. We've let them off occasionally to play untethered, but we have a pond in our backyard and they run in the backyard and get a mess. So don't do that anymore. So anyway, they're a couple doors down in the other direction, leaving the neighborhood, not in the cul-de-sac, is a neighbor. Sadly, we don't know them. They don't talk to us, but they have a dog named Duke. We've learned his name is Duke, but we've always called him the black dog because they walk him in front of our house. They walk, but they don't stop and talk. And when I had Cash out as a puppy and he walked, I said, "Oh, can they meet?" And he said no, and kept walking. So they just don't talk, but we see them. We know them as the black dog owners. So last summer, Cash was 3.5. My son, Joey, who's here, was walking him. We were out of town. He was dog sitting with and he was walking him with my grandson, and they were heading back to our house, and Duke jumped out of the window and came at Cash and Joey in the street. I put the pictures and the text message because Joey texted us right away that Cash and the black dog finally confronted each other. And Owen, who's also here, said, "Well, what happened?" And he said he was able to get Cash away. Cash didn't respond, biting him back. He just the dog nipped him at the nose, and you can read the text. Joey said he was biting him like a wolf. But anyway, nothing serious. And we weren't home. Joey brought him home, and that was the end of the story. Like I said, we don't talk to the neighbors. We never went back to them. They never had another interaction until New Year's Eve. And then New Year's Eve, we had people over. He was out grilling. Cash, my dog, was playing with our grandson and got really hot. So if Ted's out grilling, occasionally I'll let Cash out in the garage, and he'll give him a bone so he's occupied, and he'll sit there. We have old window screens. And in fact, we have a picture that he'll prop up so that Cash can't run out. Well, on New Year's, he was tending to the grill and not watching, and I just let Cash out. So he was mad at me because I didn't say, "Hey, listen, be prepared." And Cash went out and saw someone walking in the street in the cul-de-sac. And sure enough, it was Duke, the dog. So it was dark. He didn't get there in time to know what exactly first happened, but our dog Cash bit Duke. And you can see the pictures. Duke had to go to the emergency vet, had a bite wound that resulted in a charge from their vet, which we did reimburse him for. It does say laceration repair minor. Most of the charges were tests, antibiotics, and things like that. So, so my thought, and you can read the letters from our neighbors, is that when Cash went out there, like he could have thought it was Sadie, the dog in the cul-de-sac, but when he saw it was Duke, he was like, reacted, and out of fear. It's not characteristic of a lab, and I think you're all animal professionals. You know the characteristic of a Labrador Retriever is not aggressive, but he reacted with fear. And I don't know if that dog, what he did first. We were just going by what Mr. Dye said because we weren't there. And he said he came out growling, aggressive, and then a fight ensued. But again, we take responsibility that Cash did what he did. So alarming to us. So what we did in response is I found a dog trainer, and
That they gave us a letter.
oh,
We received a letter
Oh.
from Mr. Dye, which is part of the evidence, I believe, right?
no. He just wrote that, he sent us the copy of the bill. And so we paid that. And just sent him a letter, if we'd happy to talk about this if you want. We've never heard from him. We haven't seen him. I don't believe he's here. I don't know if he is or not, but so we haven't seen him since. He did the day after the incident. My son Owen saw him, and he came walking down the street. He was supposed to be in quarantine, but he came walking down the street. His dog was in a cone, and Owen called us to the window and said, "Oh, there he is." And so I was kind of happy because I thought, well, if he had a
The dog
cone,
was
the
okay.
dog was okay. It was walking, he wasn't hospitalized. So we walked past our house with the golf club and walking in front of our house. Our own son Owen saw it. So we were like,
And again, part of the issue is we're in a cul-de-sac. He's 2 doors down from us on the way out of the cul-de-sac. So he's got the entire neighborhood, planet, whatever to explore versus coming down that 150-yard stretch of cul-de-sac and, walking Duke, letting him stand in our yard and go to the bathroom, which is fine, he cleans it up and everything, but it was just kind of over the years or so, a little antagonistic, and, Cash would sit inside and bark. And so it was just kind of this buildup over time. And of course, Duke jumping out that window and getting Cash in the middle of the street probably didn't help things either. So.
So in response to that, it was alarming. We don't want our dog to bite anybody. We have a grandson that's small. There's small, people. So we called the dog trainer, and our last yellow lab had a invisible fence, and like everyone has stated, they don't work. He would take off. So we knew when we had Cash that we weren't going to do that. So we just have him on a leash. So to be comfort, we hired it's very expensive, but it was a very good program. They came to our house, they did an assessment. The trainer's a specialist in reactive dog. He agreed that sounded like a reaction. He's like, he said, I was surprised to get a call about a lab. Labs don't usually do this. They are very easily trained. They're food driven. I mean, I know shock collars, that's part of the program. I know some people think it's inhumane, but it works. You can shock him. It's a 0 to 100. He's at 15, and he's so we hired them, and actually he just emailed me a letter that I can read quickly. Dog Training Elite Michiana has trained Cassius Bardis for about 2 months. He has been through 7 of our 8 sessions platinum program designed to teach one obedience and reactivity control. He has learned come, off, place, sit, down, and heel. And we have specifically worked out boundaries and controlled reactivity. They actually come to our house so that we've worked on the boundaries of our garage, not leaving the house. The sessions are designed to teach dog owners and handlers how to effectively train and control their dog. The Bardises have been taught how to read Cash's body language and to redirect him when he is showing the first sign of potential reactivity. The Bardises have been expected to work with Cash at least 20 minutes a day. Cash has participated and will be expected to continue participating in DTE group class to proper socialization and impulse control while around other dogs. Our group classes introduce dogs to all types and temperaments of other dogs in a controlled yet distracting environment. Cash and the Bartises are doing very well and most importantly, working exceptionally hard in their training. We expect Cash and the Bartises to graduate from our program with all the tools needed for proper obedience and manners. Sincerely, Richard Napinelli, manager and lead trainer. So we feel we've done what we need to do. Cash is responding well. Like I said, he's a lab, food, treats, shock. And we did do one group session already. They had us put a muzzle on him just because that was their first experience of him with other dogs. And he, in the group, actually didn't even do anything but obey the commands. He didn't try to sniff the other dogs. It was free time and a couple other dogs started at it and he barked at them and then we shocked him and he stopped. So he's pretty compliant and we feel like we shouldn't have any problems going forward with Duke walking by us. And we also had a pinch
Okay.
collar.
Your time's up.
Okay.
Is there anyone who'd like to speak in favor? Anyone who opposes the petition? Any?
We don't have any previous history for Cash. The first incident that was talked about was not reported to our agency, so we don't have a record of that incident on file. But it does sound like they're doing a lot to help with the situation and with Cash.
You get bit on the hand?
Is that
Yes.
your hand?
Okay. When I-
Okay. I was
Am I okay to
confused.
talk or?
Yeah.
Yes,
When-
we're asking questions.
When after Cash crossed the cul-de-sac, when I got to the scene, Duke was actually latched down to Cash's lower jaw. So in the process of me separating them, once I got them apart and told Cash to get home, Duke, whether on purpose or not, latched onto my hand and I said to Mr. Dye, he's got me now. And then eventually he let go and Mr. Dye continued on. Not happy that he was gonna, which I don't blame, having to take his dog to the vet
On New Year's
on New Year's
Eve.
Eve, at 8 PM or whatever time it was. But again, that following morning, we were glad to see him walking him, not with the golf club, but you know, we were
Yeah.
glad he at least had the cone on and was in. I was afraid he had lost his eye. That's what it sounded like. And it was so dark, we couldn't see anything. So.
Okay,
It's a nasty bite.
thank you.
Some serious stuff, so.
Yeah.
Probation for a year.
Yep.
Make a motion for probation for 1 year.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So we're gonna
Okay.
put him on probation for a year.
Okay, thank you.
All right,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you.
Good luck.
Shiloh Macon, 16183 Ireland Road.
What was the name?
Shiloh Macon.
You have 10 minutes. Please state your name and address.
My name is Shiloh Macon, 16183 Ireland Road, Mishawaka, Indiana, 46544. How y'all doing today? On the day that this happened, we just moved to this neighborhood and on Ireland Road, and we've probably only been there for like two to 3 months maybe. And the house previous to, we had a fence in the yard. And my kids were used to letting the dog out in the fence and just letting them out in the backyard to use the restroom and stuff like that. So they kind of got used to not using the leash. So the day that this happened, I was getting off work and I was coming home. And when I got there, I had went in my bedroom for a second. And then my oldest son, 16, he came in the house and told me that, hey, I can't get Blue. Like, he ran out in the backyard and I can't get him. So what he did was he opened the door, let the dog out, and went back in his bedroom. I don't know why he did that, but I got on him about it. You know, he won't do it again. But I guess the dog, he ran next door, and I wasn't aware that the neighbor had 2 little dogs because, like I said, I was new to the neighborhood. But he had 2 little dogs, and I don't know if they were outside or what happened. But when they came and got me, I ran outside and I think it was a neighbor's son was holding, he was like down on one knee and he was holding my dog like around the neck, just holding him, like, you know what I'm saying? Just like, he wasn't like basically like hugging him from behind, like, and then my dog was just sitting there like panting, you know what I mean? So I was like, man, I ran, grabbed him like, oh, my bad, man. I didn't mean for my dog to run over here. And he was like, no, it's cool. And I was like, okay, well, I still didn't mean for him to run over here. You know, he's not supposed to be doing that. So he was like, no, it's okay. But he's like, it's a nice big dog. So I took him back to the house. And then when like maybe like I want to say like an hour later or something, the neighbor came over and told me that his son had like a bite on his cheek or something like that. So I was just like, man, why? I wish he would have said something when he told me, you know, he was sitting there with the dog. So I was just like, okay. He was like, well, does he have his shots and everything? And I was like, yeah, he has shots, but I really can't find the papers right now because we were just moving and all that stuff. So he was like, well, he was like, can you keep your dog on a leash and everything? And I was like, yeah, I'll keep him on a leash and everything, and this won't happen again, you know. So then Humane Society and everything got involved, and he has all his shots and everything, and I make sure the kids don't take him outside without a leash anymore or anything like that. And I'm trying to look into getting the fence. I was gonna do electric fence, but sounds like those are not good options, so I'm just gonna get a fence. But
Depends on what you buy, but
yeah, okay.
you can't beat a physical barrier.
Okay, definitely gonna get the physical one. So, and that's my plan, to keep him on a leash. And ever since then, I haven't had any problems. He hasn't ran out. I've let my kids have called me one day. They let him out. They took him outside on the leash, but I guess the neighbor's dogs was outside and they were on leashes. So he was like, I had to hold him back or whatever. But I got him back in the house and everything's fine. So I just like went and talked to the neighbors, like, hey, can you keep your dog on a leash too? You know, so for both of our safeties, and you know. And he was like, yeah, okay, no problem. I'll keep him on a leash. So, and that's the bottom line.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any?
We have no prior history, of the appellant or the pet, no, reports since the incident either. And we did attempt to get pictures of the injury, but we never received them.
Thank you. Is there anyone that wants to speak in favor? Anyone that would like to speak in opposition? Go ahead.
State your name and address, please.
My name is Clayton Heber, 16201 Ireland Road, Mishawaka, Indiana, 46544. The day that happened, my dogs weren't outside. Me and my 12-year-old son and my husband were walking in our yard to go out back and work, and the dog charged at my son. And my husband jumped down on the dog to hold it down so it couldn't get me or my son, because I can't run or nothing. I have bad legs and couldn't get away from it. And in the process of trying to keep the dog held down, the dog did bite his hand and scarred his face, probably with his paw. And he had to have stitches and stuff done that day. It wasn't an hour after that I went over next door. I went over there, it wasn't maybe 15 minutes. I went next door and said, my husband was hurt. Does the dog have rabies stuff? He said, I don't know. I got it from somebody else. He didn't know anything about the shots, is what he told me. I just don't want to have any issues. I have little nieces and nephews that are there. We have big family gatherings all the time. And if that dog sees anything in the yard, it comes chasing over there. And the little kids that take the dog out can't control that dog. If the older kid doesn't take it out, the dog can't be controlled on a leash. They need to make sure they're doing way better with it, because when the little ones come out with it, they can't control them. And that's not the first time it come charging in the yard. Right after they moved there, it came over to the front yard after my little dogs that were chained out front. And we just let it go at that point because the kids came over and they got the dog, but it took them a while. The one had to hold it down while the other one was trying to find something to chain it and take it home. I just want to make sure we don't have to worry about going out in our yard. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? You have anything
You have
else?
5 minutes if you want
Wanna
to
add?
add anything.
No, I just don't, I have no knowledge of the dogs running over there other than that one time. And that's about it.
It sounds like he's already game through that, so. Your probation and leash until then, or outside fence. with like a grown,
Height and how long to build it?
I guess.
2 months and
How tall? 5 feet, 4 feet, I mean?
probably.
It's a 80 pound.
It's a stocky dog, shorter legs.
Short stack.
Yeah, I was
I got,
like 4
I
or
got
5.
videos of him
bowling,
playing
right?
with little kids. Yeah, he's a nice little dog. He just,
How much does he weigh?
I think like 80 pounds. He's like 2 years old.
Bulldog and jumping 8 foot or.
He's a double XL bully. He was his dad's a double XL, and then he was breeded with a pocket bully.
How tall is he?
Probably like.
I say 6. All right, so we're making a motion that you're gonna have to get a fence. Probably 6 foot.
Okay.
And then call the Humane Society when you get the fence done. You'll have 2 months to get the fence up. And then in the meantime, and even after you get the fence up, if he's not in the fence,
Keep him on
he has to
leash.
be on a leash with the grown-up walking him. Because, I mean, you know, he went over to their yard, and then also those 2 little dogs over there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They're probably like kind of yappy and stuff, and if he goes over there, he gets annoyed at them. Be
yeah,
like one chomp.
yeah.
So,
He plays with German Shepherds and other big dogs. So yeah, I can understand that.
yeah, okay, so that's our motion that, he gets a 6 foot fence. You guys come look at it. He's got 2 months to put it up, and in the meantime and afterwards, if the dog's not in the fence, it has to be on a leash with a grown-up walking it.
So an adult 18 plus.
Yeah,
Well,
so,
how old's your oldest child?
16.
I'm guessing that's the one you said can control the dog. It's the young.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't let the little kids take him out. So.
Yeah, I would say that at least that 16-year-old because
okay, and then probation for a year.
Is that a motion?
a second. That
All in
motion.
favor? Aye.
Sheldon Weaver,
Good luck, man.
10905. Martindale Road, Wakarusa. Sheldon Weaver, 10905 Martindale Road, Wakarusa. Sheldon
Once.
Weaver. Okay,
Went
no here,
twice.
so
Oh,
designations upheld.
Upheld. Make a motion. To uphold the-
I second it.
Hold on,
Favor?
so, 1 second. So for the public nuisance in the county currently, there are no restrictions there's no requirement for a kennel, there's no requirement to contain the animal. It just says if your pet's running loose 3 times, you have to pay $100 permit fee. And keep it from running loose again. So if it keeps running loose, we could upgrade it to dangerous, but at this point, we're not at that threshold. So I would urge the Animal Control Commission to put some sort of stipulation on the public nuisance. A kennel has been built. It does not have a top on it. From my understanding, I have not physically seen it myself. I've just seen pictures. But since that kennel has been built, the dogs have been loose again. And I did email a letter today that was emailed to us from the neighbor who is the main complainant as well.
So,
They got loose with that kennel?
Yes,
or did they just let him loose?
I don't know.
Because it says, it's next to an open hayfield and our dogs go out there to poop. They run in the field. The farmer has no problem with it.
The farmer does have a problem with it.
So I wonder if they just let them loose.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not here to appeal, so the designation's upheld. If they keep running loose, then they become dangerous. I mean, that's how it goes. So,
Are you with this one?
yeah, so she's against it.
No.
But you guys are upholding it anyway. There's nothing for her to,
But maybe she knows what's going on. Just, can you give us a?
Can we
quick
get a
run-through?
testimony?
You want me to?
I mean, they're not here. There's nothing to appeal. So it's automatically upheld.
But you're saying that we could put restrictions on them even if they're not here? Besides the nuisance thing?
Well, I mean, Marcel would be the,
I mean, you can do whatever you want, but once again, according to the county code, I mean, Jenny was working on getting that changed. As it is currently, it just says that they have to, once they're deemed a nuisance, they have to be kept on property, right? If they're not kept on property, it gets upgraded dangerous dog, which means they come back and then you guys do what you do. So where we're at right now is it's a nuisance. They filed an appeal. They didn't show up for the appeal. You guys uphold the nuisance. If they're out loose again, the dangerous dog, they'll come back and then you guys can do what you normally do.
We cannot jump to the nuisance or the
Jenny, it
dangerous
wasn't
now.
filed as a dangerous dog.
Yeah.
It was filed as a nuisance.
yeah.
So you can't, no, we can't jump.
So I guess basically, if they get loose again, it's
here.
It has to be after today. Has to be after today.
But we could also revoke, well, they don't have a permit to revoke currently, because they'll have 2 weeks from today,
Get the
from
permit.
tomorrow to get the permit.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so
Okay.
if they're loose after today, send it in and
and then you're gonna have to come back. Sorry.
Well, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Sorry.
Oh, no. All right, sorry.
Good luck.
All right.
Kelta Griffin and Larry Works, 128 North McCombs, South Bend. See you. Please state your name and address. You have 10 minutes.
My name is Clea Griffin. I live at 128 North Macomb Street in South Bend, 46637. I live with myself. With me, my boyfriend who Larry Works, he's not there in the house right now, but he'll be back in June, and my grandson, he's 28. And on the day when Pepper bit the spider, our neighbor's dog, Damon took him out, and I guess the leash was loose and Pepper slipped out from the leash and ran over to Spider and bit her 2 or 3 times, I believe. And they took Spider to the vet and fixed him up. And I told Sarah, the lady who owns the dog, I would help with the vet bills, and she said, "Would 500 be okay?" And I did. I gave her that, and ever since Pepper, she is like she's a security for us. She takes care of us. She hears noises at night. She lets us know what, everything around. And she's sensitive to noise. She really is. But I bought new collars. She goes out on a leash. It was really, it's been hard. Worry we could lose her or something. But anyway, we are working. She hasn't been out alone, or she's been on a leash every time she goes out since that day. We're taking care of it. The problem is she's not getting a lot of exercise, but then on the other hand, she's not going to cause that little dog any problem. We've never had problems with any humans, any other animals. But for some reason, she wanted to go over there. And Sarah asked us one time, Pepper had got out in the night or something, and she came and she was looking in the windows, and she asked us to start keeping Pepper on the leash. And we had done that. We have been doing that because, we didn't want any problems with the neighbors. They're very nice people. And we're doing our best.
Okay. Thank you. Jenny?
we don't have any previous history of Pepper running loose or biting or anything like that, but we have requested rabies information on several occasions, rabies vaccination information for Pepper. We've never received any.
Well, she's current, but she will like next month be due.
What vet clinic did you take her to?
Pardon me?
What vet clinic did she go to?
It's over off of Ireland Road. It's I don't know the name of the place. You know, West Ireland Road, there's a clinic for,
Like the ABC clinic?
yes, that's it.
Was it under your name or under?
Larry Works.
Okay. I don't have proof of that, but I can check into that tomorrow. I can email them tomorrow to see if they have a record of it.
Yes, they do.
But the dog, did have to go and get emergency care too, and I think her records are in your packet as well.
Anyone here wishing to speak in favor of the petition? Anyone opposed? Anything else you'd like to add, ma'am? Anything else you'd like to say?
No.
Do you have any questions?
Any particular reason you did not furnish the rabies certificate that was requested multiple times?
Oh, I didn't. I don't know, in the last couple months, I've been so worried about this and other things.
I mean, being worried
Go-
about it, and
yeah,
answering
I know,
requested documentation
but-
for your animal.
well, we
seems
have-
like they should go hand in hand, and you seem awfully concerned, but not concerned
We
enough
have,
to
I
supply
have-
the requested documentation for your animal.
you're right.
Nor do you know what clinic it goes to. That's a little
Just the
frustrating from my
ABC, I couldn't
perspective.
think of the name, but she has the shots. I could send you, what do you think? Well, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Since it slipped with the
Yeah.
collar and the leash.
Do you know what a basket muzzle is?
I was thinking about a muzzle.
Yeah.
It just,
A
it goes over-
basket muzzle.
You
It's-
still sell them, Jenny? You guys have them?
We only have a couple left in our gift shop, but I can definitely supply a picture to her tomorrow.
Okay.
It's not like a cloth muzzle, it's a basket, so she can still open her mouth and drink and stuff, but she just
Oh.
can't bite anybody. So, our motion is that she's on probation for a year. She has to be man walked when she's outside
Uh-huh.
with a basket muzzle on.
Oh, that sounds good.
Is there a second?
Second?
Second.
Can
Wait.
there be a caveat to that if this animal doesn't have a rabies vaccination, that we have a different course, or no? We kind of got to make the call now.
Okay.
I mean, we would require it.
Well,
to
no, I'm
happen.
aware, but
Yeah.
like I said, I'm just a little frustrated about that. I can't get past that part.
That would be up to you.
You'd have to make a motion to amend her motion,
What do you
or she could
think?
rescind her motion, she could amend her motion.
Do you want us to like issue a fine? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying.
Okay.
So,
I'm
we
frustrated.
just want to make sure that the dog has a rabies vaccine.
I'll follow up on that tomorrow.
Make a
She's gonna
motion.
check that anyway. I mean, you want
Yeah.
some sort of penalty if she doesn't have it, is what the question is?
Yeah, like it stays a dangerous animal if she doesn't have it.
Okay,
That's kind of what I
it's
was
up to you,
thinking.
doctor, if you want to amend your motion.
So we're amending our motion that if she doesn't have a rabies vaccine
Active, current.
up to date, we'll have to
To uphold the dangerous dog designation?
Yes.
Do uphold. If. Dude, are we,
If there's no rabies vaccination that's current, then
we're upholding.
you're upholding the
And if
dog.
there is, then you're putting on probation with the basket muzzle.
the basket muzzle and man walking.
Okay.
Is there a second?
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Kendra May, 101,
Miss Griffin, I'll send you a letter tomorrow. I'll contact you tomorrow.
103 South Maple Street, North Liberty. Kendra, you have 10 minutes. Please state your name and address.
What's your name, buddy?
I'm Kendra May, 103 South Maple Avenue, North Liberty, Indiana, 46554. I forgot to renew my chicken license in time and, because I didn't have a car, I totaled my car, I hit a deer and I was getting rides from people to work and everything and getting him, I'm a single mom as well. And, I think a complaint too that my chickens were running wild, but I'm not the only one with chickens in North Liberty, and I'm not sure when my chickens would have gotten out. So I don't know if they were my chickens that were running wild, because when I was told that before, the Humane Society came out and I built a whole enclosure and they inspected everything and checked out all my chickens and they passed me for that. So I have money to renew my chicken license today, if I could.
So do you think your chickens can get out?
No, they can't get out. And I've inspected it now, even after that, when they showed, because they showed up to my house and said I had 10 days to get rid of them. And then I asked if they had pictures, because I was like, when have they gotten out? And they didn't have any pictures. But previously they have been ran wild. And they said they came out and because I hadn't had my chickens license renewed and it was just a really stressful time getting to work and figuring everything out without a car. And so I was really frustrated with Humane Society that day and
I'm just picturing chickens running wild. That's why I was laughing.
and I've had the chickens, I think, a little over a year now, and they're the same 6 chickens. And he loves them, and he picks them up and carries them all around. He gets the eggs and
And
helps
this
me.
enclosure is in the same
In the
state
same
as these pictures? Like, it
Yes.
hasn't deteriorated to any significant degree? Okay.
No. And yeah, I'm finished.
Anything else?
No.
Is anyone here wishing to speak in favor? Or speak against? No? Jenny?
So I received the complaint from the town of North Liberty. They said that they had received 2 complaints from a neighbor who witnessed the chickens, I guess, running loose. And per Vicky Kitchen, the town clerk of North Liberty, she said that the complainant said that she texted Kendra to let her know her chickens were running loose on at least one of those occasions. I did ask for the text messages, like a screenshot, and I have not received that from the town. I don't know if they just don't have access to it or I'm not sure, but we did have 4 points of contact with Kendra to try to remind her of the chicken renewal starting back in November of 2024, because all permits in the county expire December 31st, and then we give all of January to renew for a grace period. We've left messages, voicemails. The letter that we sent first did come back because she has a PO box. So she did not receive that first point of contact, but we did, like I said, leave voicemails and emails as well. So.
Okay, thank you.
Marcel 111 North Liberty,
Are you
101
speaking?
West Maple Street. I'm speaking in favor of Kendra. I am her neighbor. The chickens do run, I think. There are chickens who have run in our yard, our business yard. We've honestly got no problem with it. Spoke with my business partner. I actually don't know if they're her chickens. I would like the Humane Society to check the enclosure. I would like that if it is not proper to have, Kendra have an opportunity to resecure the enclosure and allow her to re-up her permit. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, they were calling me and leaving messages and it was that was kind of a fail on my part, but I was just kind of frustrated that they could drive out to my house and tell me I had 10 days to get rid of them, but couldn't drive out to my house and say, hey, do you have $25 to renew your chicken permit? Which I get that that's not their responsibility, but
I'm also the town attorney for North Liberty, and the people who have made the complaints to the town did not supply any pictures of the chickens running loose. And the chickens that were running loose were brown, and the ones in this picture are white. I mean, the ones we've seen in our yard, which is right next to hers, were brown. So once again, I don't know if they were her chickens. That said, I would like it to be checked, but I'm not even sure they were hers. So
You have at least 4 whites and 1 red right now, I see.
yeah, no, there were like 4 brown chickens in our driveway. So I'm not sure they were hers.
And I did ask the town.
Yeah, I
if
know.
they
You,
had-
The Humane Society asked the town for pictures. We reached out to the complaint and we did not receive, the town did not receive any pictures, which is why they weren't forwarded
Well,
on.
I also asked Vicky if she knew if anybody else had chickens, because Miss May is the only person who's had a chicken permit in North Liberty. So
There need to be a chicken investigation.
Darn chickens.
Send the police down. All right, I make a
Live there, that's
They
motion,
just-
got
the
town
business.
police now. It's not my
I make a
business.
motion that,
Oh, Matt
the
loves that.
Humane Society goes out and checks your coop, make sure it's good, and then you can renew your chicken permit.
Okay.
All in second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye. Just remember, I understand you were in a rough spot, but
just to clarify, what's the timeline?
Month, give her a
Uh,
month.
To pay the chicken permit?
And to do an inspection to allow us to come
A
out?
month to inspect it and
a month of it.
And the same day they expect it, I could pay, or do I have to come there?
You can do it over the phone.
Oh, okay, yeah,
do it tomorrow.
yeah, okay.
Get
I
that.
you probably cannot
Do
do
it
it
the
tomorrow.
earliest.
But like you said, you were in a rough spot. However,
Let's figure it
you
out.
also recognize it wasn't their responsibility, but when you screw up, the government's gonna come tell you what they need
Right.
from you. So, and they're gonna, that's in the rules. They'll take the chicken. So just make
Okay.
sure first of the year, you gotta start paying.
Yes,
Okay, okay.
thank you guys.
So 1 month to do the inspection and to renew the permit.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Frederick and Rebecca Schultz, 13870 Lexington Circle, North Granger. Please state your name and address. You have 10 minutes. I am not his neighbor.
I'm Frederick Schultz. Address is 13870 Lexington Circle North, Granger, Indiana, 46530. I'm here about our dog, Zai. He's a 9-month-old golden retriever. Just go through this real quickly. And with any questions, would you please yell at me? My hearing's shot. So I'm going to discuss the violations first. The running at large, I did not realize he was out so much. My daughter and I both work, so we're not home during the day. He weighs 80 pounds. He's pretty strong. And with the icy weather, he's gotten away from us, but we've always chased him down. When he gets away from my wife, she just, bye, and doesn't even really try and find him or chase him down. He's always comes back home. And that, he thinks everything's a game. I mean, people will be out shoveling snow and he wants to play with the snow as it's shoveled. I mean, he's just a puppy, really. And golden retrievers, I found out, really aren't mature until they're 2 years old. Otherwise, it's play all the time. When he's in the house, he doesn't have a mask on. We put the mask on because there's 3 things. Number one, when he's outside, he likes to chew everything under the sun. This includes sprinkler heads, wrought iron chairs that we have in the front yard. I don't know why. Plants, everything. He just mouthy or chewy and that sort of thing. Also, when he has it on, he seems calmer and that sort of thing. What I didn't realize though, is he doesn't have the right mask. We went to Martin's and they said, here's the mask you want. And it's like, okay, I didn't realize because of his size and everything, he needs like a basket mask so he can still drink water and his tongue can hang out so he can basically cool off and that sort of thing. And as far as the weather goes, and this has been a real learning experience for me. I'm 67 and my parents have always had dogs and that sort of thing. I was a commuter student from Chesterton to Valparaiso University in the late 70s.
So when they talk about bad weather, when they measure inches of snow, we were talking feet of snow, and they were talking about the next ice age coming, not global warming. But he really likes to be outside. I've been outside when it's been colder out and that sort of thing, and he just wants to sit, play, and run around and put his snout down in the snow and that sort of thing. I now realize that, hey, we gotta pay attention to the weather alerts and that sort of thing and really limit his time outside. And I realize, he's a hairier dog, going to have more hair on him. So, but I realize that we have to make sure he's brought in and not allowed to be out very long when the weather's bad. Our family situation, we have a disabled son, Sammy, who's a quadriplegic, is nonverbal, and has learning abilities. He has been afraid of every dog that he's been around. I mean, they bark and he just cringes and that sort of thing and gets upset, except for this one. When Zai's in the house, he really doesn't bark. He really doesn't bark much at all, except when somebody's coming up to the door or approaching the yard. And also it's sort of funny because the dog, whenever we're doing with something, when Sammy in his bedroom, the dog acts like he's trying to help because he'll put his paws up on the bed and look at the things we're grabbing and that sort of thing. My daughter works full-time, is taking classes part-time. She wanted to visit the dog when he was at the kennel, but she was afraid that she'd get really upset seeing that he was in the kennel and that sort of thing. So, and I did share that text with Jenny Brown. She adores the dog, and I know she's going to really miss him if he doesn't come back home. I work full-time up in St. Joe, Michigan for Legal Corporation. My wife, who stays at home, she takes care of my son. And actually found that taking care of my son is actually easier than taking care of a puppy that wants to be everywhere. Corrective action plans. One of the things I was thinking of is correcting a fence or a pen to put Zai in when he's outside. The weather is broken. I had talked with the homeowners associate president about doing this. He was okay with it, but some people in our subdivision have fences and some don't, and there's been more scrutiny on the fences being put up in the subdivision, just because some homeowners association don't want to be able to see through a clear yard without looking at a fence. Some homeowners association said I should just tether him outside, but I found out that you can't tether him outside unless he's neutered, and he's not neutered yet. Another thing is I drive through Berrien Springs on my way to work. And if my wife doesn't really want to take care of him, I was thinking about setting up arrangements with the doggy daycare called Shiloh's Place. He has to be neutered for that also, but it's on my way to work. And they seem like a pretty good place. They also have a golden retriever there, so he would get some socialization with other dogs. He seems to with other dogs, all he wants to do is play. It's like everything is playtime with him. And then we realized that if he's outside on a leash, someone will have to be with him. My wife can't just put him on the front porch and tell him to stay and have him sit there for 5 seconds, and she goes in to get her coat on and he'll be gone. She realizes that she can't do that. She has to stay with him all the time. And now for the final thing is I call it the elephant or the gorilla in the room, is my wife. And he could probably look up and go, what in the world? It really, all this boils down to all the stuff about legal, this and that, and being a bad lawyer that she's trying to be, is she just wants the dog back. She misses him. she's trying in her own mind way to find a justify, yep, I screwed up. You know, I should have been with him and that sort of thing. She's really been getting worse since COVID. She doesn't go to the grocery store. My daughter and I have to do all the shopping. Her idea of going to the grocery store is sitting in the car and watch me do the grocery shopping. Basically, her bark is worse than her bite. They really should put beware of wife sign up in the yard instead of beware of the dog. There's no filter on what she says. Whatever comes to her mind, straight out. She's actually worried now that if we have the dog, that somebody's gonna let him out of the fence area or cut him loose from the tether and that sort of thing. She realizes now that somebody has to be with him all the time. We just can't, as a puppy, we can't just put him out in the yard and that sort of thing. I've thought of putting in an invisible fence, thinking that may work. But he's such a big dog and he's used to just going. I think he gets through it one time with it even set on maximum. He's going to think, well, this was only temporary and still go. So as far as the animal shelter and the Humane Society, they've been great, I feel. Really, because they've had to take the brunt of her wrath. The only thing that maybe led to getting I wish I could have appealed the first time, but the notice, I guess, was taped to the mailbox. And it was bad weather that week, so it must have come off. We've had issues of all our complaints about this, that, and the other thing with mail. We made the post office aware of it. A lot of it's been misdelivered just because it's musical chairs as far as the post office. So, I mean, and then there, you know.
Time's up. There's no
I
one
had
here
to
to speak.
I'm sorry.
Your time is up. Your 10 minutes is up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I was done.
Okay, thank
There's
you.
no one else here, so.
Thank you.
Do you guys have, or Jenny?
Zai has been, he was impounded on February 19th, so he has been in the shelter since then. He is at the shelter currently. Frederick has come in and visited with him, I think on 4 or 5 occasions now, checking in on him and just, you know, saying hi, that kind of thing. My main concern is a concern that all the neighbors have is that, we've made lots of points of contact trying to solve the issue before it became a public nuisance. That was met with lots of anger from Rebecca, I believe, and kind of at first not believing that our agency could even enforce these sort of things, or they weren't even rules or you know, whatnot. But then when the animal was deemed a public nuisance, we did tape it onto the mailbox because Rebecca had refused to allow us to come to the property. She didn't want us walking up to her door. She didn't want us taping anything on her door. So we can't put it in the mailbox because we're not allowed to do that, but we taped it onto the side of the mailbox. And I don't know if she got it that day or not and didn't share it with Mr. Schultz or not. But we did call on several occasions and left messages that the appeal date was coming up to be to expire. So giving them other notification that this has happened. But since that happened, the dog was still allowed to run loose because Mr. Schultz did come to the shelter. He did obtain the public nuisance permit. I'm not quite sure how that was communicated with Rebecca because a lot of these voicemails that I received, she didn't believe that they had a public nuisance permit or whatnot, but the dog was still allowed to run at large. The neighbors are really concerned. They sent in a lot of that documentation, the timestamp sort of things, the pictures, but they have had other run-ins with Mrs. Schultz. And that was one of their main concerns too, is that this is kind of a weapon, like the dog has been weaponized to create chaos in their neighborhood. so to say. So the dog is a young golden retriever. He has a lot of energy. He seems to like other dogs. We don't really get him out very often to exercise because he has tried to redirect on staff when putting him back in the kennel. He's really frustrated being in a kennel right now. So, unfortunately, I don't have a lot of faith that the dog will stay confined as is, and that's why we had him and we impounded him and we revoked the permit. So my suggestion was that he would not be given back to the Schultz family.
Motion?
So I'm thinking if you get the dog back, if you do get the dog back, like, so do you work on the weekend?
No.
So could you take the dog to the doggy daycare every day?
Hopefully not, but I could do that.
Cause I mean, and he needs to be neutered. And at the doggy daycare, do they have training available?
Not nearly, we were gonna start that, but he's just a puppy, so we really haven't.
But it's
you know,
better to
he's-
Yeah,
start now.
Best to start when they're a puppy. I
Yes,
mean,
it's
to
right.
think of
Well,
raising your daughter,
mean,
would you let her
Those
run around?
basic commands like sit and lay down and that sort of thing.
But sometimes at those doggy daycares, they'll have training available. Like you
Right.
could drop him off to play with the other dogs and things, and you could also get training maybe a couple days a week.
Right.
So,
Or-
because I was thinking if you got him back and you took him to the doggy daycare every day on your way to work, then you'd be home on the weekend to make sure that he wasn't running at large.
We're almost done. Okay.
I mean, is that, so I had to talk to them still, but you'd have to get him neutered. Okay, you have to get him neutered.
Right.
This thing works.
Why is he,
You have to get him neutered.
why has he not been neutered?
My wife just didn't want to have it done.
Okay, yeah, so he's the right age. He needs to get neutered. That'll help a lot. And if you could take him to the doggy daycare every day on your way to work and then find out if they could have some training, maybe like a couple days a week. Because, and like when she just turns him loose with that muzzle on, I mean, what if another dog attacked him or something?
Endangering
Right.
your dog.
Well, you're
But
not.
we've been
yeah.
weaning him off of it. He hasn't had it on as much anymore.
Yeah, even if you let him out with the basket muzzle, if you're not with him, he could, I mean, just, like another dog attacks him, he can't defend himself. So, yeah, so that's what I would say, like, and if you can't do that, then you would probably need to build a fence, and you can't just throw him outside.
Right.
So I guess some of what our motion is gonna be is up to you. Like if you can do those things.
We can have him trained, yeah.
And a
Yeah.
fence,
And I want to have him neutered. to tell you
Okay.
the truth.
and a fence.
Yeah.
Since
And
it
then-
sounds like they're gonna allow you a fence, put
Right,
it up.
Because the fact, I know it'll proverbially will take the wind out of the sails, so.
Okay, so our motion is that you get him neutered, okay? Take him to the doggy daycare during the week when you go to work. Cause I mean, maybe your wife already has enough to do taking care of your son, and then ask about training when you're there. And then on the weekend, when you're home, you have to take him out on a leash,
Right,
or you should get a fence.
okay,
So check into getting a fence also. And then once you get the fence up, you can get the Humane Society to come out. And then if you have a fence, maybe you don't have to take him to doggy daycare every day because your wife could put him out in the fence. Okay, hold on a minute.
I think. I don't think the wife's gonna be fine. I mean,
He takes him with him every day.
have you priced that place out, the doggy daycare?
$320 for 10 days.
That's something you're willing to spend?
Yeah. I
Or
have to take-
capable of spending?
Yeah.
I mean, I love getting. If she has no control over the dog, no ability to have control for the dog. It sounds like she doesn't care. No, it sounds like she doesn't give a rat's ass.
Okay, so we'll say, build a fence, 2 months or something. I don't know, maybe give him a little longer.
I mean, as long as it's fair, it's dog daycare. At least the doggy daycare wants fences built. Good thing said.
Okay,
He's not a dangerous dog. This is just a nuisance.
right. So we're making a motion of some things he can do. Okay. So he needs to get the dog neutered.
Time frame?
I'd say 2 months. Take the dog to the doggy daycare with him during the week and try and see if they have training available. And on the weekend, when he's home, he can walk the dog with a leash. And he needs to get a fence built. And once the fence is built and the Humane Society inspects it, then if he doesn't want to do the doggy daycare, he doesn't have to. And then probation for a year.
How tall do you want the fence?
I'd say 6 foot.
Yeah.
Does the HOA have a requirement
Oh,
on your
wait.
fence?
Yeah.
He did
Does-
mention that.
Does the HOA have a requirement on how tall the fence could be or what type of fence?
Probably do.
They want everything to be around a pool, but other people in the neighborhood have fences up. So it's just one of those things that, hey, we're gonna put up the fence. You want us to keep the dog in the yard and not run loose. The president of the homeowners association was okay with it. He actually said, hey, give Fred a chance, wait for the weather to break so we can get it up. I mean, I'm just saying that the homeowners association may.
I might be okay with a 6-foot privacy fence all the way around.
Well,
Yeah.
see what you can do about the fence, and then you can talk to Jenny about it.
My concern is if we're not very specific
Oh,
on
yes.
what your motion is,
His wife.
it's going to be very difficult for my office to enforce it.
Okay.
So I need it to be very
So,
black and white.
okay, so the dog you got 2 months to get the dog neutered.
What?
2 months to get him neutered,
Okay,
okay? And then every day until you get a fence, you're gonna take him to work with you to the doggy daycare
okay,
and check on training.
okay,
And on the weekend, when you're home, you're gonna walk the dog
right.
on a leash. And then once you get the fence up, the Humane Society will come out and inspect it. And
Okay.
then if they okay it, then you don't have to go to the doggy daycare every day if you put him in the fence.
Okay,
So, so if it gets out again, then it upgrades to dangerous dog, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
If it gets out again too, would that be an automatic,
It's dangerous though.
but like you guys take possession again?
We can.
It becomes dangerous dog, then he has to put up a kennel.
I'm
Okay,
saying,
just to
like-
be clear, so Monday through Friday or whenever Mr. Schultz is at work, the dog should not be on premises, should be at a doggy daycare facility while he's at work. When he comes home, so after working hours and then on the weekend, anytime Zai is outside, he must be on a man leash to an adult who can physically handle him. Correct? And then he has to be neutered within 2 months. Ask about training. Are you requiring the dog to have training? You're just saying asking. So if this doggy daycare does not provide training, are you requiring him to do training elsewhere?
I think, yes.
Okay, so how long does he have to establish a trainer and how many sessions do you think that he is required to do training wise?
So I'd say 2 months to find training. And they usually have like a course. So like they have courses like at PetSmart or,
Obedience course completion.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So you want to, within 2 months, establish, training for an obedience class, and he needs to complete the obedience class. Or whatever the training module is for that
Right.
training class. And that needs to be complete within, because usually those are like once a week or once every other week, something like that. So
I'd
like
say 6
6
months.
months. Okay. And the fence, we're not putting a height restriction because we needed to hear from the HOA, but once the fence is constructed, Main Side inspect to ensure it's escape proof. Then he no longer needs to take the animal to doggy daycare. But at all times going forward, if he's not in that escape proof fence or he's regular time at home, he needs to be on a manned leash
Yes,
and only a basket muzzle if they're using a muzzle.
right.
Okay, I think I
Okay.
have that written down. And then if they violate the public nuisance, we are to
Well, that
impound.
drops the public nuisance.
I'm sorry?
That drops the public nuisance then. Right? They're doing this stuff to drop the public nuisance because this is not a dangerous dog designation.
No. This is a appeal because we revoked the public nuisance permit. So they're not
Oh, you're-
upholding the revocation.
I got it. So he's not a dangerous dog.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if there is a violation during, you said 1 year, because you said he was on probation for a year.
Or none of these stipulations are followed in the time
Then
being.
he's a dangerous dog.
Yep. We're gonna upgrade it to a dangerous dog and hold the dog until the permit is obtained.
Yep.
Okay. Did you hear all that?
Jenny will tell you.
She'll walk
And
you
he-
through it.
You need a
As long
second.
as it's all perfectly spelled out for me,
Yeah.
I'll have to duck
Need a second.
a little
Okay.
bit after she reads it, but,
I second.
Okay.
Aye.
but I mean, I want what's best for the dog, and having him neutered, I know is gonna be a big
Yeah.
help.
Yeah, because you don't want him to get killed. I mean, if he's just running around with the muzzle on like that, something's gonna happen to
Right.
him.
Well, and like I said, we've been weaning him off the muzzle and everything, so.
Yeah. But even if he's running around without a muzzle, something's gonna happen to him. Golden retrievers are the nicest dogs. He'll be a good dog.